Hello and welcome. You're watching Markets Today on Business Today. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this show, we discuss everything about the stock markets, how the trading action has opened today with the benchmark Sensex and the Nifty, and what kind of a trade can you really hope for today, especially amidst the ongoing crisis of Ukraine and Russia and the worsening macros in terms of the rising crude oil prices. Well, after a long haul of weakness that we had seen yesterday, we have seen a sea of green all across the markets today, beat the US markets in the overnight session. The Asian markets have opened higher as well, indicating that the Indian markets will also have a positive start. And that's exactly what we've seen in today's trading session. Talk about the opening levels. The Sensex was up 500 odd points at 55,973, and the Nifty was higher by 160 odd points, or about 1% higher at 16,766. About 1624 shares were seen advancing in the early action, whereas 236 shares declined. 45 shares remained unchanged in the opening action. Talk about some specific stocks. Remember that Coal India, ONGC, IOC, UPL, and Tata Steel are the major gainers, and most of these stocks belong to the commodity space, which have been seeing a rise in prices because of the ongoing crisis, and therefore you are seeing the stock prices also surge higher. On the losing side, you have a lot of banks that have been on the receiving end. HDFC Life, insurance companies like SBI Life, Ultratech Cement, the sectors that have a direct correlation of input prices and input costs rising due to crude oil prices. So all of those are on the receiving end. Nestle and Cipla, these are the stocks that are actually declining in trade today. Of course, when we talk about the overall trade setup, you do come from the fact that the foreign investors continue to remain on the selling spree. They have sold shares worth 4,338 crore rupees in yesterday's trading action. The DIIs, however, compensated the FI outflow by purchasing the shares worth 3,061 crore rupees worth of shares on March 2nd. Now, talk about some of the other stocks that will be in focus today on the back of the brokerage house's radar. Citi has come out with a report on Vedanta on the back of the constant announcements of the dividends that the company has been announcing. They have a buy rating with a target price of 435. CLSA has come out with a report on Piramal Enterprises with a buy rating and a target price of 2800. Morgan Stanley is overweight on UPL with a target price of 951 as well. So these are some of the brokerages houses reports that you are seeing right in the early action. Some of the stocks that will be in focus, again, like you talked about, Vedanta will be in focus. It has will pay a third interim dividend of 13 rupees per share from April to March onwards, amounting to 4,832 crore rupees. UPL will be in focus. The company's board of directors has approved a buyback of shares of 875 odd crore rupees. Then definitely Swan Energy has also going to be in focus because the company has said that they will consider fundraising of up to 2,000 odd crore rupees. Tantia Constructions has bagged an order of 42 crore rupees as well. So that stock also will be in focus as of now. Now, when we talk about the macro setup, of course, all eyes are on how crude oil prices will move from here. They have already tested $118 per barrel as far as the Brent crude level is concerned. Remember, this is the highest level that we've seen of crude prices from August of 2013. So, nearly a decade high prices you're seeing on crude oil prices. Some of the reports and most experts actually are looking at an anticipated rate of again touching closer to the highs of $140. Now, whether that happens in a few days from now or sooner than that is something that we are all waiting with a bated breath. Despite the rising crude oil prices, look at what the statements have come about from the oil producing nations OPEC. The OPEC has decided to maintain an increase of the output of 400,000 barrels per day in March, despite the price surge. So that will not be giving any kind of a relief with the additional supply, reducing the current situation of the oil prices. That will continue as is. The other important bit is that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has said that he's inclined to support a 25 basis points rate hike at the March policy meeting, but said that the central bank is prepared to move more aggressively later if inflation does not abate as expected. He said, and I quote, I'm inclined to propose and support a 25 basis point hike. Powell also testified before Congress on Wednesday about the Fed's upcoming March meeting. He added that the central bank is prepared to move more aggressively by raising the federal funds rate by more than 25 basis points at one or more meetings if inflation does not come down later this year. as expected. Now, some of the other action points that you need to remember will be on the fact of how Russia things in Russia are actually reflecting in the brokerage houses radar as well. Fitch Rating and Moody's have both cut Russia's rating to junk now, and maybe also cut them further. Fitch has cut Russia's rating to B from BBB, and Moody's has cut its rating on Russia to B3 from Baa3. Now, what this junk status really means, we will definitely come out with a video so that you can get a better understanding of does all of this matter, and what does all of this really take into consideration before they actually rate a country with junk status as well. All of those things will be important to track. Overall speaking, macro setup still remains quite volatile. In the initial trading action, you're seeing some kind of volatility also slip through, although most of the sectors are trading in the green, with the broader market supporting the sentiments at this point in time. But it's very difficult to say if the momentum will sustain, because most of the trading analysts have also been talking about how 16,700, is important resistance level. Once Nifty crosses that on a decisive closing basis, one can only expect higher levels from there. Otherwise, there could be some more volatility to come by. So keep an eye out on all those developments and stay tuned with us on Business Today so that you don't miss out on any action that's really buzzing on the D Street. Thanks a lot for tuning in on this update.